Alright guys, welcome back. This is Bad Senator. So tomorrow we are going to have the May 8th primary elections. These primary elections include state, senate, house, and governor races in Indiana, Ohio, and West Virginia. Now, however you watch it, through New York Times or through individual state Secretary of State websites in those three states, here are a few things you should keep your eye on. Indiana Senate primary. So, the Democrat primary for the Senate in Indiana is pretty much set in stone. Joe Donnelly, the incumbent, is going to be the Democrat nominee. But there's a three-way Senate primary for the Republican nomination. You have two representatives, Luke Messer and Todd Rocketa, and then a much lesser-known candidate, Mike Braun. So this race is essentially three-way, and there's really, it's pretty much toss-up, but if I had to pick one, it'd probably be Mike Braun, because he's leading a little bit in some opinion polling. I think that Luke Messer would be the best choice for Republicans. If they want to beat Joe Donnelly, he'd be the best candidate, followed by Todd Rocketa being the second best, and Mike Braun being the worst. However, I think Mike Braun will win the primary, or I think he's favored to win the primary. Nothing's set in stone. This means definitely still anyone's race. I think Mike Braun has a slight advantage going in. Ohio governor primary. Ohio, you're going to see Ohio a lot. So the two leading candidates for each party is Mike DeWine for the Republicans, the state attorney general, and Dick Cordray, the also former attorney general of Ohio. Now, these are the leading candidates. However, upsets are possible on both sides, with the energized Mary Taylor vote challenging the establishment Mike DeWine, and the former Cleveland mayor Dennis Kucinich, who's challenging Cordray. He also has some pretty energized supporters. But anyway, it's expected to be Mike DeWine and Dick Cordray matchup, and I put the asterisk mark. The asterisk mark is who I think would be the best candidate of a certain party to run the election. So obviously if an upset happens on either side, then that's bad for that party. Ohio House primaries. You see a bunch of like just blank icons there because I couldn't really find pictures for the people here. But anyway, you have on the Republican side, this is the 12th congressional district of Ohio. This is where the special election in 3 months will be taking place. You have a large amount of Republican candidates, and none of them really seem to be better than another to take on the Democrat in the general election. On the Democrat side, you have two candidates, main candidates that could win, Danny O'Connor, the recorder of Franklin County, and John Russell, a farmer and a candidate for this seat in 2016. Danny O'Connor is the much more well-known and much more well-endorsed by the Democrat establishment. Therefore, he would be the best choice for them in the general election in August, and he is favored to win as well. Ohio voter turnout. This is another thing you should watch. Obviously, voter turnout's important in Indiana and West Virginia. However, it is especially going to be pivotal to the races here in Ohio. In Ohio, you have many more competitive House races than you do in Indiana or West Virginia, and you also have a governor's race. Indiana and West Virginia do not have governor's races. In the Senate race here in Ohio, you're not going to see a lot of, people switching parties. Indiana and West Virginia have very moderate, even to an extent conservative Democrats who will draw a lot of vote from the Republican voters who may vote Republican in the primary, but end up voting Joe Manchin in the general. Ohio, Sherrod Brown, he's a liberal. You're probably not going to see too much of that. So if Republicans can get more people to turn out to the polls this primary than Democrats, that'd be very, very good for them. And obviously the same thing is true for the Democrats. Finally, the elephant in the room, the West Virginia Senate primary. Interesting primary here on both sides. Let's start with the Democrat primary. We're going to save the best for last. West Virginia Senate primary, the incumbent Senator Joe Manchin, who's by far the best candidate to run in the general election. He's the incumbent senator. However, you also have a progressive primary challenge coming from Paula Swearingen. Again, she's a progressive. Now, in a state that voted, all of its counties voted for Bernie Sanders. So in a state like that, the progressive primary challenge, who probably has a lot of supporters because people are frustrated when Joe Manchin votes out of line with the Democrat primary and the Democrat establishment, you can't really count her out, although Joe Manchin is a heavy favorite to win the primary. And the West Virginia Republican primary, which is really kind of a head shaker. It's like, how'd we come to this? Anyway, you have the two establishment candidates, Evan Jenkins, who I think would be the best person to take on Manchin or Swearingen in the general election. He's also a representative of the 3rd Congressional District. Pat Morrissey, the Attorney General of the state. And you probably heard of him already. Guess who it is? Donald Blankenship, the CEO of a coal mine. He served time in jail for not following federal safety procedures. This resulted in an explosion that tragically killed, I think, 29 miners. Not miners like children, like coal miners. And then he had attack ads blaming the federal government for the incident. And then he called establishment Republicans like Mitch McConnell, I think he called him Cocaine Mitch. This guy, yeah, he would not be a good candidate in the general election. I guess you could call him the Kanye West of the Republican Party. Well, I guess he would be like that until about a few weeks ago when Kanye West started to become less, like, conservative. But I guess he would call him the Kanye West of the Republican Party, 2005 Kanye West. Needless to say, he would probably lose to Joe Manchin, and maybe Paula Swearingen too. Again, if Paula Swearingen wins, this is essentially safe Republican, assuming Jenkins or Morrissey is the Republican nominee. If it's Blankenship versus Swearingen, then the people of West Virginia have to pick their poison here. But I think that, as this race right now is leaning in Joe Manchin's favor in the primary and the general, but if Swearingen pulls off an upset, then it's safe Republican. Unless Don Blankenship wins, then it's lean Republican. Believe it or not, I actually think that Don Blankenship is favored to win based on internal polling by Republican firms and based on the increasing presence of the anti-establishment vote, especially in Appalachia and the South. Anyway, that about wraps it up. See you guys on the other side. Thanks for watching. Bye!